What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop. So Pokemon has probably seen more than its fair share of quote-unquote controversy when people try to attack the franchise in the most ridiculous ways for the most ridiculous reasons. Usually it's people just being flat out stupid, or they're trying to leech off the success of the franchise, but either way, it usually makes the people doing this look worse than they made Pokemon out to be. So today we are going to be taking a look at 5 of the most ridiculous public attacks against Pokemon. Let's check it out. So this first one happened a little more recently, and I'm sure many of you can remember it fondly. Last year, when the Wii U game Pokémon Tournament was released, a review for the game popped up on Amazon that wasn't too thrilled with the crossover title. The reviewer states that Blaziken's genitals can be seen in the game, even though it's clearly just a hair tuft, but my favorite part of the review says, and I quote, "I have shown this picture to at least 10 other parents, all who share the same disgust. One person even stated that this is similar to exposing children to porn." What? I don't know how anybody could be so naive, and that's putting it nicely, as to think that Blaziken's design equals pornography, but to them I would just like to say that you better stay off the internet entirely if you think that's bad, because there are definitely way worse pictures of Blaziken out there. Just saying. The reviewer also stated that they emailed Nintendo about this, but seeing as this story never developed any further, I'm sure Nintendo set them straight. Now, that one was a doozy, but I think this next one is probably even more ridiculous. Back in 2012, around the time that Pokemon Black and White 2 were set to release, PETA, or the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, decided it was a good idea to release this monstrosity. Titled Pokemon Black and Blue, this is an actual web-based parody game that essentially makes the classic argument that Pokemon are being abused and are forced to fight each other for the sole enjoyment of their evil trainers. As you can see, this game is completely over the top in its viewpoints, complete with blood-covered, psychotic-looking Pokemon trainers, and Pokemon with chunks missing from their bodies. You know, just like the actual Pokemon games. If all of that wasn't ridiculous enough though, it's the cherry on top that this happened during Generation 5, and after Black and White 1, where this exact topic was explored and confirmed by the actual games themselves that the relationship between people and Pokemon is actually rooted in friendship, trust, and respect. If PETA would have actually done their research, they might have understood this, but I guess they were just too busy attacking anything that so much as breathes next to an animal. Oh well. Moving on, we might just have what is the most ridiculous thing on this list, and quite possibly the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my life. Last year, when Pokemon Go exploded into the mainstream, it caught a lot of people off guard, and as such, for some reason, some people instantly thought it was evil. Now I gotta give a shout out to PBG for bringing this to my attention, but last year around the time Pokemon Go came out, a website ironically titled True News put out a podcast talking about the game, and well, I can't possibly do it justice, so I'm just gonna play some of the highlights.
So these Pokemon creatures are like virtual cyber demons.
Yes, digital demons.
Digital demons. Now,
I'm glad we could clarify.
We're gonna present to you a really far out idea about Pokemon Go.
Okay, listening. I'm listening.
What if this technology is transferred to Islamic jihadists? And Islamic jihadists have an app
What?
that shows them where Christians are located. Okay, I see two things here. Number one, the enemy, Satan,
Oh, okay. Didn't know we were going
is
there.
targeting churches with virtual digital cyber demons.
Yes. Satan is
What
using
if
Pokemon, guys.
we find out that Pokemon Go is primarily, the demons are primarily being located inside churches?
I don't know, guys. I don't know. You can't make this up. I'm literally speechless, so let's just move on to the next thing. Next up on the list, we'll depart from the realm of insanity and head into something a bit more controversial. So I feel like most of you should know about the Burger King Pokemon toy fiasco of the 90s. If you don't, or if you weren't around back then, basically what happened was that Burger King started giving out a variety of Pokemon toys that were contained in a plastic Pokeball as a way to promote Pokemon the first movie. Unfortunately, however, the toys were recalled because a small child ended up suffocating at the hands of one. Now that part of it is completely understandable, but the thing that takes it too far is that the parents of the child actually set up a website called Pokémon Kills, obviously a negative attack against Pokemon. Now it's completely normal to be grief-stricken over something like this, and it's terrible that it happened, but it's also pretty ridiculous to say that it was Pokemon's fault. According to online articles, the child was barely over a year old, so literally any toy from anywhere could have caused something like this to happen. It's certainly a tragedy, but the emotion was also pointed in the completely wrong direction in this situation. Now the last one on this list is another one that's a little more well known, and that is the infamous Kadabra Uri Geller lawsuit. Basically the story goes is that Uri Geller is a self-proclaimed psychic who can supposedly bend spoons with his mind. So, when he came across Kadabra, who also bends spoons with his mind, he became outraged that Nintendo was using an unauthorized parody of himself because apparently he owns the entire concept of being psychic and bending spoons with your mind. He didn't just get mad, however, this guy went on to try and sue Nintendo for almost $87 million, which makes it pretty obvious he just wants their money, since that is more than quadruple his entire net worth, even today at just $20 million. The part that I find funniest about this whole thing though is that Geller claims that they are using Kadabra to turn him into an evil character because, according to him, the star and lightning bolts on Kadabra come from the logo of the Waffen SS, a Nazi group. However, they actually come from Zener cards, which are cards that are used with ESP, which Geller should have absolutely known about since he is supposedly psychic. It's almost like he isn't as psychic as he says he is, or he's just trying to take advantage of a popular franchise for their money. Unfortunately though, even though Geller clearly hasn't won the lawsuit, it has negatively impacted the Pokemon franchise since they haven't been able to use Kadabra in the TCG for some time now, since they haven't been able to come to an agreement with Geller. Like I said, it's really unfortunate because this entire thing is just absolutely ridiculous. And there you have it. Those were 5 of the most ridiculous public attacks against Pokemon. Pokemon seems to get the brunt of this kind of stuff more so than any other franchise out there. And while it's really frustrating, it can also be really funny when things happen like the scenarios on this list. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and let me know down in the comments below what you thought of all this stuff. And if you're new, be sure to subscribe because I upload great Pokemon content every Tuesday and Saturday. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon for some exclusive perks, and with all of that being said, I'll smell you guys later.